I inhaled deeply and knocked on Xander's office door. We were close, but I still felt a bit nervous every time I saw him. "Come in, Aurora," his deep voice boomed. He was bent over the desk, his forehead creased, looking at some paper. The sight of him so focused made my heart jump, but I just tried to ignore the feeling. "You wanted to see me?" I asked. Xander looked up, his intense gaze softening as it met mine. "Yes, please sit down. We need to discuss this message from the High Alpha Council." I settled into the chair across from him, curiosity piqued. "The High Alpha Council?" He nodded. "There is so much you don't know, Aurora. The Council is the highest governing body in werewolf society. They oversee all packs, mediate disputes between alphas, and make decisions that affect our entire species." As Xander explained the intricate political structure of our world, I found myself fascinated. It was so much more complex than I'd ever imagined during my time in the Clearwater Pack. "They've requested a meeting," Xander continued, his tone grave, "about what happened recently." I swallowed hard, remembering the vision I had. "Xander, I have something important to tell you." I shared with him the vision I had of the wolves with red eyes and the unusual wolves I saw. "This is troubling news, Aurora," he said when I finished. "Combined with the Council's sudden interest, I think it's best we postpone the meeting. You need more time to understand your role and powers before facing them." Relief washed over me. "Thank you, Xander. I don't think I'm ready." Holding my hand in his, the touch sent a spark through me. "We'll face it together when the time comes. For now, let's focus on your training and integration into the pack." The next morning, I decided to follow Xander as he went about his daily duties. Our first stop was a dispute between two families over territory boundaries. I stood quietly to the side, observing as Xander listened to both sides with patience and authority. To my surprise, he turned to me. "What do you think, Aurora? How would you handle this?" "Well," I began, my voice growing stronger as I spoke, "both families have valid points. The river is a natural boundary, but the hunting grounds on the north side are richer. What if we divided the territory not by the river, but by hunting quotas? The family on the south side gets a larger area, but the north side family gets first pick of the prime hunting spots each season. That way, both sides benefit." There was a moment of silence, and then nods of approval from both families. Even Xander looked impressed. "An excellent suggestion," he said, pride evident in his voice. "Let's implement Aurora's plan." As we left the meeting, I felt a surge of confidence. Maybe I could do this Luna thing after all. The rest of the day was really busy. I ended up doing more tasks, including assisting with the planning of the big full moon celebration. It felt good to be useful, to be respected. During the festival preparations, I overheard two young wolves arguing over who would lead the ceremonial hunt. Their voices were rising, and I could sense the tension building. Without thinking, I stepped in. "Why don't you both lead?" I suggested. "You could work together, showcasing different skills. It would be a great example of pack unity." The wolves looked at me in surprise and agreed to what I said. As I walked away, I heard whispers behind me. "That's her. The new Luna. She's not what I expected." I heard her former pace treated her badly, but look at her now. Their words made me smile. However, not everyone was pleased with my growing influence. I was hanging up some decorations for the festival when I spotted Lyra, one of the she-wolves, who appeared to be dying for Xander's attention. She was with her group, speaking in hushed tones and darting glances my way. I strained my enhanced hearing, catching snippets of their conversation. Came from a weak pack, not fit to be Luna. I was angry and embarrassed. I wanted to run and hide, to go back into the shell I've built around myself in the Clearwater Pack. But then I remembered who I was now. I was Aurora, Luna of the Blackstone Pack. I wouldn't let anyone undermine me. Taking a deep breath, I marched over to Lyra's group. They fell silent as I approached, fake smiles plastered on their faces. "Lyra," I said, my voice calm but firm, "if you have concerns about my ability to serve as Luna, I'd appreciate it if you brought them to me directly. Spreading rumors doesn't benefit anyone, least of all the pack." Lyra's face flushed red, a mix of anger and embarrassment. I was just... "You were just leaving, I believe," I said, maintaining eye contact. "Unless you'd like to discuss this further with Alpha Xander?" She shook her head quickly, muttering apologies as she and her group scattered. As they left, I caught approving looks from other pack members who had witnessed the exchange. But my victory didn't last long. A messenger ran into the clearing, gasping for air and with wide eyes. "Alpha Xander," he called out. "Urgent news from the Silver Creek pack. They're under attack by rogues and requesting immediate assistance." Xander appeared as if summoned. He turned to me and said, "Aurora, come with me." We entered his office, the festive atmosphere forgotten. "This is a delicate situation," Xander explained. "The Silver Creek pack is our ally, but they're also rivals. Helping them could be considered a sign of strength, or it could be perceived as weakness by other packs." I considered his words carefully. "But if we don't help, and they fall to the rogues, wouldn't that put us at risk too?" Xander nodded, a small smile on his face. "Exactly my thought. We'll lead the group," I interrupted, surprising myself with my boldness. "This is a chance for us to show our power when we stand together." Xander stared at me for a while before nodding. As we got ready to leave, we gathered our strongest warriors and talked about our plan. Suddenly, everything around me started to blur, and it was replaced by a picture that got me worried. I saw the red-eyed wolf again, but this time he wasn't alone. A pack of wolves followed him, though their shapes were distorted and strange. They had bright eyes and dripping jaws, a terrifying force heading straight for. The vision faded, leaving me gasping and trembling. Xander was at my side instantly, his strong arms supporting me. "Aurora, what did you see?" I looked at him, feeling both scared and determined. "Xander, we have a bigger problem. What's wrong?" I told him what I saw in my vision. I noticed the worry in Xander's eyes, but there was also a strong sense of commitment. Whatever was approaching, we would confront it as a team. "First, we'll handle the issues at Silver Creek," he stated, speaking calmly and confidently. "After that, we'll get ready for what's ahead. You won't face this alone, Aurora. Keep that in mind." I agreed, encouraged by his words and his support. As we started our journey, I couldn't help but feel that this was only the start. We quickly traveled through the woods. I could sense the worry coming from our pack, their eyes moving around fearfully as we got closer to Silver Creek's land. Xander walked next to me, and his being there was a reassuring presence in the mess of my thoughts. When we were close to the edge of Silver Creek, I had a strange feeling. Something was not right. I couldn't exactly explain it, but my gut was telling me that there was a problem. I looked at Xander, wondering if he had the same feeling. "Xander," I whispered, not wanting to alarm the others. "Something's not right here." He nodded, his jaw tight. "I feel it too. Stay alert." We crossed into Silver Creek territory, and the wrongness of the situation hit me like a physical blow. The forest was eerily quiet, devoid of the sounds of battle we'd expected. There were no signs of the reported rogue attack, no sense of fear or blood in the air. Xander raised his hand, signaling the pack to halt. "Split up and search the area," he commanded, speaking quietly but firmly. "Aurora, you stay with me." While the rest of our group spread out among the trees, Xander and I started our investigation. I remained very attentive, trying hard to notice any clue about what could have taken place here. That's when I noticed them. Unusual marks in the soft ground, different from anything I'd encountered before. "Xander, check this out," I whispered, bending down to study the marks more carefully. Xander frowned as he examined the mark. "These don't look like a wolf mark," he whispered. "Let's keep going." We walked quietly through the woods, tracking the strange marks. They brought us to a secret open space, and what we saw there made me shiver. The area was a mess, with ground up and trees smashed. It seemed like a huge fight had happened, but there were no remains, no blood, just chaos. While I looked around, a sharp headache hit me out of nowhere. I cried out, losing my balance as pictures from my dream appeared in my mind, a figure with red eyes, a pack of twisted wolves. When the pain subsided, I found Xander holding me steady, concern etched on his face. "Aurora, what happened?" "I'm not sure." Before we could discuss it further, howls echoed through the trees. Our pack, calling us back. We regrouped quickly, but no one had found any trace of the Silver Creek pack or the supposed rogues. As darkness arrived, a tense silence surrounded us. The full moon rose into the sky, casting a soft silver glow over the woods. When its light reached me, I felt a strange tingling, a mysterious pull to the shining moon. Xander must have noticed my distraction. "Aurora," he said softly, "perhaps we should join the full moon run. It might help clear our heads." I nodded, grateful for the suggestion. As our pack began to run, I felt a weird energy inside me get stronger. My feet barely touched the ground as we sped through the forest lit by the moon. I found myself going faster and faster, even leaving behind the strongest members of our group. As I ran, everything around me turned into a haze. I felt an unknown force driving me forward. I could hear Xander telling me to slow down, but I kept running. I'm not sure how long I ran. The next thing I know, I was standing on a cliff overlooking the valley beneath me. As I stood there, covered in moonlight, the weird energy inside me reached its peak. My skin felt electrified, my whole body buzzing with power I'd never felt before. I heard Xander's approach before I saw him. He burst into the clearing, his eyes wide with concern and something else. "Aw." "Aurora," he breathed, "your eyes—" Before I could ask what he meant, everything around me tilted. The unusual energy inside me suddenly became too much for me to handle. I felt myself falling, but Xander quickly caught me in his strong arms. My arm was burning, and I noticed a shiny mark on my skin. Then I passed out. When I woke up, I was still held by Xander. His face showed both worry and confusion. "Aurora? Can you hear me? Are you all right?" I nodded weakly, trying to sit up. "I think so." What happened?" Xander helped me to my feet, his touch gentle but firm. "I was hoping you could tell me. You took off during the run, moving faster than I've ever seen anyone go. By the time I reached you, your eyes were shining with a silver light, and you seemed to have this energy surrounding you. Then you fell to the ground." I glanced at my arm, recalling the intense heat and the glowing mark. But now my skin was clear, with no trace of what I had witnessed. "There was a symbol," I mentioned, touching the area where it had been. "Right here. It was glowing like my eyes." Xander's brow furrowed. "I saw it too, but it disappeared as soon as you lost consciousness." "Aurora, what is happening?" I shook my head, feeling confused and quite frightened. "I'm not sure. Since the moon appeared, I've felt different. It's as if there's a surge of energy within me, eager to escape, and while I was running, it felt like the moon was actually pushing me to move faster." Xander was about to say something, but then multiple loud, worried howls. We both tensed, recognizing the sound of our pack signaling danger. "We need to go," Xander said, his alpha authority slipping back into place. "Whatever's happening to you, we'll figure it out, but right now, our pack needs us." We ran swiftly, the urgency of our pack's calls spurring us on. As we neared, the sense hit me. Fear, aggression, and something else. Something wrong. It reminded me of the strange tracks we'd found earlier, and a tendril of dread curled in my stomach. We ran into the clearing and saw our pack growling at the trees. When I looked where they were staring, I felt a sudden tightness in my chest. From the shadows, wolves appeared, with bright red eyes that seemed full of hate. "This can't be happening," I whispered, realizing who they were. "Xander, these are the same wolves I saw in my vision." Xander's eyes widened, but he stayed quiet. The strange wolves jumped forward, and everything turned into chaos. I moved to join, but Xander held me back. "Aurora, wait. We don't know what these things are capable of, or what's happening with your abilities. Stay close to me." Part of me wanted to argue, to throw myself into the battle alongside our packmates, but I knew Xander was right. Whatever was happening to me, whatever these creatures were, I couldn't risk losing control. As we fought side by side, deflecting attacks and protecting our pack, the big round moon appeared to glow even more brightly, casting its light directly on our fight as if it were a powerful lamp. All at once, a huge wolf, bigger than the rest and with eyes that burned like hot coals, came out from behind the trees. It stared right at me, and I felt a shiver go down my back. This was the leader, the red-eyed figure from my visions. Time seemed to slow as the creature stalked towards me, its twisted pack parting to let it through. Xander moved to intercept it, but with a casual swipe of its massive paw, it sent him flying. "Xander!" I cried out, fear and anger warring inside me. As the monstrous wolf approached, that strange energy inside me surged. I felt my eyes begin to glow, and saw the silver light emanating from my skin. The symbol on my arm reappeared, burning bright. The creature hesitated, something like recognition and fear flickering in its hellish eyes. It opened its maw, and to my shock, words emerged in a guttural, inhuman voice. The white wolf awakens. But you are too late, little goddess. The end has already begun. When those threatening words filled the air, the power inside me peaked. A burst of bright light spread out, covering the open space. The final thing I noticed before the light took over was the wolf's red eyes, filled with fear. After that, everything turned white, and I lost consciousness. I opened my eyes and found myself in the infirmary. I looked around and saw Jackson and Marcus. They were standing in the corner looking worried. "Glad to see you're awake," Jackson remarked, attempting to sound upbeat. However, as I tried to sit up, the room began to spin around. I had to lie back down again. "What happened?" I croaked, my throat dry. While I drank the water, they explained what happened after I passed out. The strange wolves ran away because of the energy I released, but the danger wasn't gone. The group was cautious now, with more guards and better protection. "We have never seen anything like it," Jackson said. "You saved us all, Aurora." I nodded, understanding their words. "I have no idea how it happened. I am scared," I said, surprised by my feelings. To my surprise, they didn't laugh or ignore my fears. Instead, Marcus leaned forward, his eyes serious. "It's all right to feel afraid, Aurora, but keep in mind, you have our support." Jackson nodded in agreement. "We've got your back. And hey, maybe being the white wolf comes with a user manual or something?" I couldn't help but laugh, thankful for their effort to make things less tense. We spent the next hour talking about ideas regarding my powers and what the name White Wolf might signify. It felt good to voice my concerns, to have someone listen without judgment. Our conversation was interrupted by Xander's arrival. The relief on his face when he saw me awake was palpable, but I could see the tension in the set of his shoulders, the tightness around his eyes. Jackson and Marcus exchanged a look before standing. "We'll give you two some privacy," Jackson said, squeezing my hand before they left. As soon as the door shut after them, Xander came over to me. "How are you feeling?" he asked, his voice rough with feelings. "Like I've been hit by a bus," I admitted, "but I'll be okay." Xander nodded, then started to explain the security steps he had taken. I listened, but I felt something was bothering him. "Xander, what's really bothering you?" I asked. He sighed, running his hand through his hair. "You're not safe, Aurora. What happened in the forest? You're a target now. And the power you showed, I have never seen anything like that. What if you can't control it? What if I'm a danger to the pack?" I finished for him, my voice barely a whisper. The silence that followed was answer enough. Anger and hurt welled up inside me. "I would never hurt our pack, Xander. How could you even think that? My job is to protect this pack, Aurora, even from you, if necessary." His words felt like a punch to me. I would never hurt anyone or put the pack in danger. Why would he think that? I thought. "This isn't helping," he said. "You are going to stay with me from now on. Let's go." Before I could argue, he was helping me up and leading me out of the infirmary. We walked in tense silence through the pack house until we reached a door I'd never seen before, Xander's room. As soon as the door closed behind us, the atmosphere changed. The anger and frustration seemed to disappear, leaving behind a raw vulnerability that was almost scarier than our fight. I was sitting on Xander's bed, feeling really worn out. "I am so sorry," I murmured softly. "I'm just really freaked out, Xander." Xander's expression softened. He sat next to me, holding my hands. "I'm scared too, Aurora. The idea of you leaving or getting hurt really frightens me." I looked up at him, surprised by what he just said. "Really? But you always seem so strong, so confident." He gave a sad laugh. "That's what everyone sees. The strong, confident leader. But inside, I'm always doubting myself, wondering if I'm making the right choices for our pack. And now, with this new danger, I feel like I'm in way over my head." His words moved me deeply. Without thinking, I reached out and took his hand. "We're in over our heads together, then," I said softly. Xander's eyes met mine, and suddenly the air between us was charged with a different kind of tension. He moved closer gradually, giving me a chance to step back if I wished. But I didn't wish to. I moved towards him, and our lips touched in a kiss that began gently, but soon grew into something more intense. I sighed against his lips and murmured his name, and I could feel his smile. My hands moved into his hair, that hair that I've been wanting to touch all night, and he kissed me harder. His hand cupped her cheek, and the gentle touch on her skin as she felt the heat of his mouth had her nerve endings on fire. "Can I touch you?" He whispered in my ear, and I let out a choked sound. He paused and lifted his head for a moment. We made eye contact, his pupils wide and dark. "Everything okay?" he muttered. "If I do something you don't like, just tell me, or if you want me to stop." "Everything is okay," I whispered back, my voice barely audible. His eyes searched mine, making sure I was comfortable, before he leaned back and captured my lips again, making my heart race. His hands moved slowly from my cheek, going down to my shoulder, leaving trails of warmth. He deepened the kiss, his mouth moving with mine in perfect rhythm. His hands lightly brushed my waist, and with every little touch, every tiny caress, I just knew I wanted more of that. He glanced at me with a cheeky smile, whispering, "I've been dying to do this for so long, and it hit me like a ton of bricks. I'd never felt so cherished, so truly adored like this before in my life." Subsequently, we just lay together, all cozy-like, with my head on Xander's chest as he gently drew circles on my back. For a bit, all the craziness and doubt about our whole situation just vanished, and it was like we were in this little bubble of pure bliss. Then I had to go and bring it up, whispering, "So what's the plan?" I didn't want to mess with the vibe, but we couldn't pretend everything was cool forever. Xander's arms tightened around me. "We face it together," he said firmly. "Whatever's coming, whatever you're becoming, we'll figure it out. You and me." I smiled, feeling more secure than I had in days. "You and me," I repeated. However, our quiet time was disturbed when, unexpectedly, I felt a severe headache. I took a sharp breath, my body becoming rigid as various scenes flooded my thoughts. I visioned the wolf with glowing red eyes standing on top of a hill. Below him stretched an army larger than before, filled with the twisted wolves and something else. Something darker, more terrifying. The vision shifted, showing destruction on a massive scale. Packs falling, forests burning, the very fabric of our world being torn apart. As quickly as it came, the vision faded, leaving me panting and shaking in Xander's arms. "Aurora? Aurora, what is it? What did you see?" he asked, holding my face gently with his hands while looking into my eyes. I took a deep breath, struggling to speak up. When I did, the words came out in a whisper. "They're coming, Xander, and they're bringing something worse with them, something that could destroy everything." Xander's face turned pale, but he gritted his teeth with resolve. "Then we'll be prepared for them." I woke up and found Xander staring at me. His eyes were so soft and full of love that my heart fluttered. He smiled tenderly at me, and I smiled back. "Good morning, Luna," he whispered softly, reaching over to push a lock of hair behind my face. "Luna?" I whispered softly. Xander nodded, his smile widening. "Today, you officially become the Luna of the Blackstone Pack. Are you ready?" A feeling of excitement and worry filled my heart. I'm not certain," I confessed. "Everything is moving quickly." Xander's face softened. He put his arms around me in an encouraging embrace. "I know this is a lot to learn," he said, his voice deep and soothing, "but you've already earned the pack's esteem and praise." "They support you, Aurora. We all do." His words calmed some of my worries, but I still had questions. Just as I was about to ask, a knock at the door stopped us. Xander called for them to enter, and Celine and Zara burst in, their arms laden with bags and boxes. "Time to get ready, Luna," Celine sang out, her excitement palpable. When they led me into the bathroom to start changing me, I felt worried and said, "What if I'm not prepared for this? What if I let everyone down?" Zara paused in her task of arranging cosmetics, her eyes meeting mine in the mirror. "Aurora, you've already proven yourself 100 times over. The pack loves you. This ceremony is just a formality." Celine nodded in agreement. "Besides," she added with a wink, "wait until you see the dress we've picked out. You'll knock 'em dead." Their confidence was contagious, and I started to feel less anxious. As they used their skills to make me look elegant and stylish, I began to think that perhaps I could handle this situation. Right when they were adding the final details to my appearance, there was another knock on the door. This time, it was Jackson and Marcus, who seemed unusually nervous as they came in. We brought you something," Jackson said, handing me a small, fancy box. "From the group." I opened the box and saw a silver necklace of a crescent moon. "It's beautiful," I murmured. Marcus cleared his throat. It's a tradition. Every Luna of this pack wears it on her ceremony day. We thought you should have it. When Celine put the necklace on me, I felt a tightness in my throat. Her actions made me feel really welcomed. Looking around at the faces of my friends, no, my family, I felt a surge of confidence. I could do this. For them, for Xander, for myself. The walk to the pack's gathering area seemed both endless and far too short. Xander's hand was warm in mine, a steady anchor as we approached the assembled pack. As we appeared, the crowd fell silent. I could sense many people watching me, and for a brief moment, my past fears tried to take over. However, Xander held my hand tightly, and when I glanced at him, the admiration and affection in his eyes removed my uncertainties. He then faced the group and spoke, his tone firm and audible. "Today, we officially welcome Aurora as the Luna of the Blackstone Pack," he announced. "She has proven her strength, her courage, and her devotion to our pack. I present to you your Luna." Before I could process what was happening, Xander turned to me. His eyes locked with mine, asking a silent question. Tu nodded, knowing right away what was going to happen. Carefully, he moved my hair to the side and brought his mouth close to my neck. I felt a quick, sharp pain when his teeth broke my skin, showing that I was his partner and the leader's wife of the pack. When he moved back, I saw a tiny, detailed picture on my skin. 2 wolves, wrapped around each other. For a short time, everything was quiet. Then, to my surprise, the pack started cheering and howling with excitement. The noise surrounded me, like a big wave of being accepted, which made me tear up. One by one, members of the pack came up to me, giving me presents and saying kind words to welcome me. Each interaction filled me with a growing sense of belonging, of rightness. When I glanced around at the group of people enjoying themselves, I noticed someone I recognized. Lyra was standing on the side, showing a look that was both angry and full of hidden dislike. Our eyes connected for just a second before she walked off. I decided to remember to watch her closely, but I wouldn't let her mood ruin my happiness. The party was really going now, with lots of food, music, and people dancing. I found myself pass from partner to partner, each dance reinforcing my connection to the pack. As I spun and laughed, while I was dancing and laughing, I felt genuinely happy for the first time in a very long while. Later on, Xander took me back, holding me tightly as a slow song started to play. "How are you feeling, Luna?" he asked, his breath warm against my ear. "Incredible," I replied honestly. "I've never felt so accepted, so loved." Xander's arms tightened around me. "You are loved, Aurora, more than you know." He softly kissed the spot on my neck, making me shiver. When the party was at its most lively, I suddenly felt a rush of energy inside me. It felt very much like the energy that I felt during the attack, but not quite as bad. I could hold it, but then, glancing at my hand, the same weird symbol flashed for a second and then disappeared. Before I could think more about it, the excitement of the party started to calm down. Pack members started to retire for the night, offering final congratulations as they left. Xander and I were preparing to leave ourselves when a young pack member came running up to us, panic clear in their eyes. "Alpha! Luna!" they gasped, exhausted. News from the Border Patrol. The Silver Lake Pack. They're gone, completely wiped out, and there are signs of those twisted wolves you fought. The news hit me like a physical blow. The joy and acceptance of the night evaporated instantly, replaced by a cold dread. I looked at Xander, seeing my own shock and fear mirrored in his eyes. As our pack members entered the large room, their faces showing concern and fright, I felt the responsibility of my new position as Luna weighing heavily on me. Xander's voice, powerful and commanding, echoed through the space. "By now, you've all heard about the fate of the Silver Lake Pack. We believe this attack was carried out by the same twisted wolves we encountered before." A quiet talk spread among the people. I moved closer, my heart beating fast but my voice calm. "We do not know when or where they will attack next, but we need to get ready. From today, all combat training sessions will be doubled. Every able-bodied wolf will participate." As I talked, I noticed the fear in the pack members' eyes being replaced by determination. They were afraid, but they were also ready to fight. After the meeting, exhaustion hit me like a tidal wave. I collapsed into bed, Xander's arms wrapping around me protectively. As I fell asleep, I found myself diving into another colorful dream. I was in a bright, open space under the moonlight, and the surrounding air seemed to glow with a magical power. A voice, which felt both known and unfamiliar, spoke softly through the breeze. "The time draws near, White Wolf. Your power grows, but so does the darkness. Seek the truth in the hidden places." I woke up suddenly, with the dream's words still in my mind. As I rubbed my eyes, trying to get rid of the dream's confusion, I felt another burning sensation on my hand. I checked, and I saw another mark, much like the one from the Luna ceremony, was now on my other hand. "Xander," I murmured, gently waking him up. "Look at this." His eyes widened as he examined the mark. "This is... We need answers, Aurora, and I think I know where we might find them." And that's how, 2 days later, we found ourselves preparing for a journey to meet with the High Alpha Council. While we were getting ready, Jackson and Celine came over to us, along with some pack warriors. "We're going with you," Jackson admitted firmly, making it clear that he would not take no for an answer. "You'll need protection." Part of me wanted to protest, to insist that Xander and I could handle this alone. But the determined looks on their faces told me it would be futile. Besides, their presence was comforting. The journey to the council's hidden location was long and tense. Every rustle in the bushes, every snapping twig had us on edge, half expecting an ambush by the twisted wolves. But we arrived without incident, standing before a grand ancient structure deep in the heart of the forest. 5 imposing figures emerged from the shadows of the entrance. The High Alpha Council. Their gazes swept over our group, a mix of curiosity and wariness in their eyes. "Welcome, Alpha Xander of the Blackstone Pack," one of them, an older wolf with silver-streaked hair, stepped forward. "And this must be your Luna, Aurora. We've been expecting you." Xander nodded respectfully. "Thank you for agreeing to meet with us, Elder Thorn. We seek your wisdom in a matter of great importance." We were led into a vast chamber, its walls covered in ancient runes and symbols. As our pack members waited outside, Xander and I presented our case to the council. I showed them the marks on my hands, explained my dreams and the sudden feeling of strength I had. While I talked, I noticed the council members looking at each other with understanding. After I was done, they were quiet. Finally, Elder Thorn spoke. "What you describe, young Luna, aligns with ancient prophecies long thought to be mere legends." Another council member, a fierce-looking woman with piercing eyes, leaned forward. "But we must be cautious. If what you say is true, Aurora, you could be either our salvation or our doom." "Alpha Lycan is right to be wary," a third council member added. "Power such as you describe is unprecedented. We need proof." I felt a familiar surge of energy within me. Without fully understanding how, I called upon the power that had been growing inside me. The chamber filled with a soft, silvery light emanating from my body. The council members gasped, some recoiling in shock, others leaning in with fascination. "Extraordinary," Elder Thorn breathed. What followed was a heated debate among the council members. Some, like Elder Thorn, seemed excited by the possibilities my powers represented. Others, like Alpha Lycan, remained skeptical and concerned. As they argued, Elder Thorn turned to me. "There is a legend," he said softly, "of a wolf known as the White Wolf. It tells of a powerful wolf, born during very difficult times, whose purpose is to bring back balance to our world." His words touched something deep inside me. Could this be who I truly was? The White Wolf of legend? After what felt like hours, the council reached a decision. "We don't have all the answers you seek," Elder Thorn admitted, "but we will delve into our most ancient texts and reconvene when we have more information. In the meantime, Aurora, you must continue to explore and understand your powers." As we prepared to leave, something caught my eye. A hidden door, barely visible in the intricate carvings of the chamber wall. I felt a strange energy that coming from it. I quickly glanced around to ensure no one was looking. Then I moved closer to it. I was astonished to discover an old symbol carved into the door. It was same as the one on my hand. My heart raced with the implications of this discovery. Before I could investigate further, I heard Xander calling my name. Reluctantly, I stepped away, deciding to keep this discovery to myself until I understood more. The journey home was filled with discussion about the council's reactions and limited knowledge. I could see that Xander was getting annoyed because we didn't have any definite answers. However, my thoughts kept going back to that secret door and the mysteries it might contain. As we neared Blackstone territory, a familiar figure came racing towards us. It was Jackson, his face etched with panic. "Alpha! Luna!" he called out, skidding to a stop before us. "Something's happened. It's Lyra. She's disappeared." Xander tensed beside me. "What do you mean, disappeared?" Marcus's next word sent a chill down my spine. "She's gone, and she took some money from the pack's vault. We think she might have stolen them." The implications of this news hit me like a physical blow. Lyra, with her barely concealed hatred towards me, and she has disappeared. As we rushed back to the pack house, my mind raced. What was Lyra planning? How were her actions connected to the twisted wolves and the growing darkness? And most importantly, how would we stop her? The early morning light had just started to brighten the sky when I quietly got out of bed, making sure not to disturb Xander. My body was sore from the activities of the previous day, but I ignored the pain. There was no room for being weak, especially with the dangers we were dealing with. I headed to the practice area where the chilly morning air felt cool on my skin. As I started my stretching exercises, my thoughts turned to Lyra's deception, and her unclear motives bothered me, which only made me more determined to get stronger. I was so focused on my workout that I didn't see Xander coming until he spoke. "You're up early." I faced him, wiping sweat from my forehead. "Couldn't sleep. Thought I'd get a head start on training." Xander's eyes softened with concern. "Aurora, you need to rest too. Pushing yourself too hard won't help anyone." "I can't afford to rest, Xander," I replied, my voice tight with frustration. "Not while Lyra's out there, not while those twisted wolves are attacking packs. I need to be stronger." Xander studied me for a moment, then nodded. "All right, if you're going to train, at least let me help. Spar with me." I agreed eagerly, falling into a fighting stance. We moved around each other, searching for chances to strike. Xander was a strong competitor, and his long practice showed in every action he took. But as we fought, I felt something shift within me. My reactions felt quicker, and my power seemed stronger than it had been. When I avoided one of Xander's hits, I saw a quick look of myself in a nearby water container. My eyes were glowing silver. The momentary distraction cost me as Xander's fist connected with my side. I stumbled, but quickly regained my footing. Channeling the strange energy I felt coursing through me, I launched a counterattack. To both our surprises, I managed to sweep Xander's legs out from under him and pin him to the ground. We stared at each other, both panting heavily. "Aurora," Xander breathed, his eyes wide with amazement. "Your eyes. How did you?" Before I could respond, Jackson's voice cut through the morning air. "Alpha, Luna, we've got a lead on Lyra." We quickly stood up when Jackson came closer, showing a face that had both excitement and worry. "One of our patrols picked up her scent near the eastern border. It's faint, but it's there." "Gather a search party," Xander ordered. "We leave in 10 minutes. "I'm coming too," I said firmly, cutting off Xander's protest before it could begin. "This is my fight as much as anyone's." Reluctantly, Xander agreed. Soon, we were sprinting through the woods, chasing after the faint trail that Lyra had left for us. It brought us to this old, beat-up cabin deep in the forest. The place was falling apart, like it was going to collapse any second. As we approached, I felt a shiver go down my back. This place seemed strange, with an unpleasant vibe that made me feel uneasy. "Stay alert," Xander cautioned as we stepped inside the cabin. Inside, everything was in disarray. Chairs and tables were knocked over, and odd markings were cut into the walls. The strong odor of charred plants filled the room, making me feel sick. "This is dark magic," one of our group, an older person knowledgeable in old stories, whispered. "Powerful stuff." As the others explored the cabin, I spotted a tiny scrap of paper on the floor. When I picked it up, I was really surprised. It was a ripped page from an old book, and it had symbols on it that looked just like the ones on my hands. Before I could examine it further, a howl of warning came from outside. We hurried outside and found ourselves surrounded by a group of deformed wolves, their eyes glowing red with spite. Instinctively, I extended my arms, summoning the strength inside me. To my amazement, a shimmering barrier sprang up around our pack members, deflecting the initial attack of the twisted wolves. "Aurora, behind you!" Xander's shout snapped me back to reality. I spun around, narrowly avoiding the snapping jaws of a twisted wolf. Xander was at my side in an instant, and we moved in sync, defending side by side against the fierce attack. While we battled, I sensed my strength increasing. Every strike and every move sent a shimmering light from my hands. Then, the energy peaked, and a dazzling burst came from my body. After the light dimmed, I noticed some of the deformed wolves had been knocked away, lying still on the ground. The other attackers, shocked by this show of strength, ran back into the woods. As the excitement of the fight subsided, I felt completely drained. The final image I had before losing consciousness was Xander's concerned face as he caught me in his arms. While I was unconscious, I was tormented by intense dreams, saw flashes of an ancient battle, wolves with glowing eyes fighting against a darkness that threatened to consume everything. In the middle of everything stood a bright white wolf, strength keeping the darkness away. When I woke up, I was back in the pack's home. Xander was right there next to me, looking very relieved. "How long was I out?" I asked, my voice hoarse. "Almost a full day," Xander replied, helping me sit up. "Aurora, what happened out there? The power you displayed." It was incredible. I shook my head, trying to understand everything. "I'm not sure. It's like the power is growing, evolving, and those dreams I had. Xander, I think they're memories, ancient memories of the White Wolf." Xander listened while I shared my dreams and the fresh understanding I believed I had acquired about my abilities. After I was done speaking, he remained silent for a little while. "Your progress is remarkable, Aurora," he finally said. "But it's also a little frightening. We aren't sure how strong these abilities are or what might happen to you if you use them." Just as I was about to speak, a noise outside grabbed our focus. We hurried to the window and saw a rider coming in, his horse very tired and covered in sweat. Xander went out to talk to him, and I went too, feeling worried. When the rider shared his message, I felt really scared and my face turned pale. "Multiple pack territories are under attack," Xander relayed, his voice grim. "This is a planned attack, something we've never encountered before." As I realized how serious the situation was, I felt a sharp, intense pain in my hands. I glanced down and noticed the marks on my palms were shining, changing, and getting more complex. "Xander," I gasped, holding out my hands. "Look." He stared at the new marks, his expression a mix of awe and concern. "What do you think it means?" I met his gaze, a strange calm settling over me despite the chaos erupting around us. "It means the real battle is about to begin, and we need to be ready." As the pack burst into frenzied preparation for war, I stood there, staring at my palms. The mark glowed with strength, reminding me of the future I was just starting to grasp. When I tightened my hands, sensing the energy flowing within me, I silently promised myself I would master this power, whatever the cost. For my pack, for Xander, for all the wolves fighting against the encroaching darkness. The war was upon us, and I intended to be ready. The hustle of preparing for battle was all around me, but I realized I needed to stay calm if I wanted to be useful in the upcoming battle. I went to Xander's bedroom. I sat down with my legs crossed on the ground and closed my eyes. I focused on my breathing, trying to calm the restless energy within me. As I relaxed, I noticed a peculiar change. The noises from the living area disappeared, leaving a strange quietness. I opened my eyes and saw myself in a clearing surrounded by woods. It was misty, and the full moon was out, shining bright. It lit everything up. The air felt special, like magic. It made my skin tingle. It was as if I were in a fairy tale place. Something moving at the edge of the opening caught my eye. A wolf emerged from the mist, larger and more striking than any I had ever encountered. Its coat was a flawless white that shined under the moonlight, and its eyes conveyed a profound understanding that rendered me speechless. As the wolf came closer, I heard a voice in my head, gentle but strong. "Aurora," it called, and I just knew that this was the white wolf talking to me. "At last, you begin to awaken." "Who are you?" I asked, my voice echoing strangely in this ethereal place. "What is this place?" The wolf's gaze felt like it was piercing through my very being. "I am you, Aurora, or rather I am what you will become, the white wolf, protector of our kind, born in times of great peril." As the wolf spoke, images flashed through my mind. I saw old wars, a threatening black void that appeared, and a bright white wolf standing up to it fearlessly. All at once, I realized that it felt like I had been through these events before. The darkness rises once more, the white wolf continued, its mental voice grave. An ancient evil that seeks to destroy not just our kind, but all of humanity. You must be ready, Aurora. The fate of our world is in your hands. But how? I asked, overwhelmed by the weight of this revelation. I'm still learning to control these powers. How can I possibly face something so powerful? The white wolf's gaze softened. You are stronger than you know, Aurora. Trust in yourself, in the power that flows through your veins. Seek the hidden sanctuary of our ancestors. There you will find the answers you seek. Before I could ask more, the vision began to fade. The white wolf's final words echoed in my mind as the mist swallowed everything. Remember, Aurora, the power of the white wolf lies not just in strength but in unity. You are never alone. I gasped. As I suddenly returned to reality and my eyes shot open, the first sight that greeted me was Xander. He looked worried, leaning closer to me. Aurora, are you all right? You were glowing, and I couldn't wake you. I reached out, grasping his hands tightly. Xander, I saw it, the white wolf. It spoke to me. His eyes widened as I told him about my vision, repeating every word. When I finished, he sat back, running a hand through his hair. This is incredible, Aurora. What you're describing, it sounds like the old legend of the white wolf savior. Savior? I repeated, the word feeling heavy on my tongue. Xander nodded. It's an ancient story that has been told for many years. It tells about a white wolf who was born during a very dark period. This wolf has the ability to bring all werewolves together and fight against the bad forces that are trying to harm us. As we discussed the implications of my vision, trying to decipher the meaning of the hidden sanctuary, an urgent howl cut through the air. We exchanged a worried glance before rushing outside. At the edge of our territory, we found a wolf collapsed on the ground, its fur matted with blood. As we approached, it shifted into its human form. A young man I recognized from a neighboring pack. Please, he gasped, his voice weak. Army, twisted wolves, coming this way. I suddenly felt a strong energy inside me, a feeling I couldn't understand. Without thinking, I put my hands on the hurt wolf's chest. Silver light flowed from my palms, enveloping his body. Before our eyes, his wounds began to close, color returning to his pale face. The young wolf stared at me in awe as he sat up, fully healed. The legends are true, he whispered. You're the chosen one, the white wolf. Xander was already barking orders, organizing our pack for the impending attack. As wolves rushed to their positions, I stood there, my mind racing. The hidden sanctuary, why did it feel so important? Suddenly, it clicked. Xander! I called out, I think I know where the hidden sanctuary is. The symbols in that cabin, the ones that matched my marks. I think they're a map. Xander turned to me, his eyes wide with realization. But before he could answer, we heard the terrifying cries of the deformed wolf pack, much nearer than we expected. As our group prepared for the attack, I experienced an unusual feeling running through me. My eyes started to shine with a silver light, and a powerful desire to transform into my wolf shape took over. But this transformation felt different from any I had felt before. Aurora? Xander's voice seemed distant as the power built within me. Aurora, what's happening? I met his gaze, seeing my glowing eyes reflected in his. I think I'm about to become the white wolf. As the first wave of twisted wolves burst into view, a force stronger than anything I had ever experienced rushed through me, changing my body and my very being. As I stood at the edge of becoming more than I ever imagined, one thought kept repeating in my mind. This was it, the moment that would decide the fate of our world. And I was ready to face it head-on. The change I went through was entirely new to me. It was as if the light of the moon was filling every part of me, making me new again. As I changed, I felt every single alteration. My senses became incredibly sharp, my muscles filled with strength, and I gained a deep, natural understanding. Once the change was finished, I was taller than any wolf I had ever seen before. My fur was a bright white, and it seemed to shine with its light. I could feel this strong energy coming from me, and when I looked at Xander, I noticed that he was amazed and proud of me. Aurora, he said softly, reaching out to touch my fur. You're magnificent. There was no time for further words. The twisted wolves were upon us, a seething mass of darkness and corruption. As they charged, I felt a fierce protectiveness surge through me. These were my pack, My loved ones, and I would protect them with all the strength I had gained. I gave a loud howl that made the ground tremble, a signal for everyone to fight that echoed through our entire pack. Together, we faced the attack from the strange wolves. The fight that followed was complete confusion. Biting teeth, quick claws, and a never-ending struggle between two groups fighting to the end. As the battle raged on, I began to understand what the white wolf in my vision had meant about unity being our true strength. Every time one of our pack members faltered, I was there, lending them my strength. When a twisted wolf nearly overwhelmed Jackson, I was by his side instantly, my presence alone enough to turn the tide. But for every twisted wolf we struck down, 2 more seemed to take its place. The sheer numbers of our enemy were overwhelming, and I could see our pack beginning to tire. We needed something more, some way to turn the tide decisively in our favor. That's when I remembered the hidden sanctuary. Whatever secrets it held, I knew instinctively that they were the key to ending this war. But how could I abandon my group in the midst of this fight? As if responding to my silent question, Xander's voice pierced through the turmoil of the battle. "Aurora! Guide the sanctuary. We'll hold them off here." I hesitated for a moment, torn between my duty to protect the pack and the knowledge that finding the sanctuary was crucial. Xander looked into my eyes, and we understood each other without speaking. I nodded and began to run very fast, my feet almost not touching the ground as I hurried through the forest. Everything turned into a blur as I ran faster than I ever had, following a feeling that I couldn't quite understand. The symbols on my hands, which could be seen even in this shape, appeared to throb with every stride, guiding me further into unfamiliar lands. As I ran, I became aware of pursuers, a group of twisted wolves breaking off from the main battle to chase me. I pushed myself even harder, knowing I cannot let them catch me before I found the safe place. Just when I thought I couldn't run anymore, I suddenly found myself in a wide open space that was different from anywhere I had been before. There were old, big stones standing in a perfect circle, each with carvings that matched the marks on my hands. At the center of the round area was a very still pond that seemed just like a mirror, reflecting the stars in the sky. I immediately halted at the edge of the pond, strongly sensing that this was the spot I had been searching for. But what was my next step? The noises of the people trying to catch me grew louder, and I realized I was running out of time. Taking a deep breath, I walked into the pond. The moment my paw touched the water, the whole clearing became very bright with a brilliant white light. The symbols on the stones started to glow, and I felt a rush of power unlike anything I'd ever felt before. Suddenly, I knew many things: old secrets, forgotten magic, and the real history of our kind. I saw the origin of the twisted wolves, the dark force behind their creation, and most importantly, how to stop them. As the fierce wolves rushed into the open space, I turned to confront them, my eyes burning with fresh strength and insight. I understood now what I needed to do, not only to win this fight, but to protect our entire world from the evil that was trying to engulf it. At that instant, standing in the holy waters of our forefathers, I truly became the legendary White Wolf, and I was prepared to carry out my fate. But just as I was about to use my new abilities against the approaching danger, a terrifying howl rang out across the clearing, a sound that filled me with dread. It was a howl I knew, one that shouldn't have been there. Stepping out from behind the fierce wolves was Lyra, her eyes shining with a sinister red glow. Transform herself into something monstrous, the very embodiment of the darkness we were fighting against. As Lyra's red eyes met mine, I knew that the real battle was just beginning, and the outcome would determine the fate of not just our pack, but of all werewolf kinds. The air was thick with tension when I faced Lyra. She looked like me. Her eyes, which I knew well, now had a strange red glow. It was like looking into another world, and it sent shivers down my spine. "Lyra," I growled, my voice carrying a new resonance in this form. "What have you done to yourself?" A sinister laugh escaped her muzzle. "I've become what I was always meant to be, Aurora. True power, unbridled by your pathetic notions of morality." Before I could respond, Lyra lunged at me with inhuman speed. Even with my enhanced reflexes, I barely managed to dodge, her claws grazing my flank as I pivoted. My claws dug deep furrows into the earth where I landed, steadying myself for her next attack. A group of twisted wolves surrounded us, their spooky howls filling the air like a bad dream. As Lyra and I moved around each other, I felt something big on my shoulders. This was more than a simple fight between two wolves. We crashed into each other again. Our bodies moved so fast it was difficult to see. We fought with all our strength and speed. Each impact sent shockwaves rippling through the clearing, the very air seeming to tremble with the force of our combat. A powerful energy was coursing through me, but dealing with Lyra was tough. She had been corrupted, making her a strong adversary. As I started to get the better of her, a well-known howl pierced the noisy battle. Xander had arrived with reinforcements, turning our duel into a full-scale battle. The clearing erupted into pandemonium as my pack engaged the twisted wolves. In the midst of the fray, I reached out to Xander with my mind, surprised to find I could communicate telepathically in this form. "Xander, the twisted wolves, they can be stopped with my touch. Spread the word." I saw an understanding flash in his eyes before he turned to relay the information to the others. But my momentary distraction cost me. Lyra, seizing the opportunity, charged straight for Xander. "No!" I roared, throwing myself between them. I managed to deflect Lyra's attack, but not before her claws raked across my shoulder, leaving deep gashes that burned with unnatural pain. The battle spilled out from the clearing and into the surrounding forest. All around me, wolves were fighting fiercely. The noises of snarling, yelping, and bodies colliding filled the air. Yet, through the chaos, I spotted something hopeful. Whenever I touched a twisted wolf, a brilliant white light would surround them, making them unconscious. We gradually started to gain the upper hand. More and more of the twisted wolves fell, their numbers dwindling. Lyra, realizing her advantage was slipping away, let out a furious howl and retreated deeper into the forest, her remaining minions covering her escape. As the last of the twisted wolves fell, an eerie quiet settled over the battlefield. I stood there, panting heavily, my white fur stained with blood, both my own and my enemies'. The effort of fighting and holding this new form began to tire me out, but I knew I still had to keep going. Then, a sudden disturbance at the edge of the clearing made me look over. A young wolf appeared, his fur all messy with blood and his eyes full of fear. He looked terrified. As he reached us, he shifted into his human form, a boy no older than 16, gasping for breath. "Please," he wheezed, collapsing to his knees. "You have to help us. Our pack, we're under attack. On so many rogues, we can't hold out much longer." I exchanged a glance with Xander, seeing the same determination in his eyes that I felt. Despite the exhaustion pulling at my limbs, I knew what we had to do. "We'll help," I said, my voice firm. "Xander, organize a response team. We move out immediately." Xander nodded, quickly selecting our strongest remaining fighters. Jackson, Marcus, and a handful of others who seemed least worn from our recent battle. He looked at me with worry in his eyes, taking in my injuries and wariness. "Aurora, are you really okay with this? You've had such a tough day," he asked gently. Ignoring the ache in my shoulder, I sat up straighter. "I'm sure. These people need our help, and I won't turn my back on them." With a swift nod, Xander finished organizing our team. As we prepared to leave, I found myself struggling to maintain my white wolf form. The power that once flowed through me easily now felt like it was slipping away, as if I was trying to hold water in my cupped hands. We started moving at a tough pace, with the young wolf showing us the way to his pack's land. Each step was a struggle against tiredness, but I kept going, finding strength I didn't know I had. As we got closer, we heard noises of a fight. It was like the air was filled with painful howls and anger. The smell of blood and fear was strong too. When we climbed a hill, what we saw made my heart drop. The neighboring pack's lands were in chaos. Their defenses had been shattered, and rogues swarmed everywhere. Pack members fought desperately, outnumbered and overwhelmed. I didn't think twice. I threw my head back and let out a huge howl. It was so loud it felt like the trees themselves were trembling. The effect was instantaneous. The rogues froze, momentarily stunned by the power in my call. The embattled pack members rallied, a new fire lighting in their eyes as they realized help had arrived. We charged into the fray, our fresh strength turning the tide of the battle. I found myself in the thick of the fighting, my claws and teeth finding their marks with deadly accuracy. But as I fought, I noticed something strange about these rogues. Their behavior was off, even for rogues. They seemed more feral, more uncontrolled than even the twisted wolves we had faced earlier. Their eyes held no intelligence, only a savage hunger that sent chills down my spine. As I grappled with one particularly large rogue, I managed to make contact with my paw against its flank. I expected the same purifying effect I had seen with the twisted wolves, but nothing happened. Whatever was affecting these rogues, it was different from Lyra's corruption. The battle was intense and brutal, with our new allies giving us a much-needed boost. The neighboring pack fought with newfound strength, and we started to push the enemy rogues back. Gradually, we gained the upper hand. After a long, grueling fight, the outcome became clear. The remaining rogues realized they were beaten and began to retreat into the forest. The surviving pack members cheered when the last one vanished. Exhausted, I felt the energy of the white wolf leaving me. My legs were weak, and as I shifted back to human form, I almost fell over. Xander quickly came to my aid, holding me up. "Aurora, are you okay?" he asked, sounding worried. I nodded weakly, too exhausted to speak. Around us, the pack was tending to their wounded and assessing the damage. The cost had been high, but they had survived. As we began to help with the aftermath, a chilling howl echoed from the forest. Everyone froze, turning towards the sound. From the trees emerged a lone wolf, larger than the others we had fought. In its jaws, it carried a scrap of fabric. The wolf approached cautiously, dropping the fabric at the feet of the neighboring pack's alpha before retreating into the forest. With trembling hands, the alpha picked up the scrap and unfolded it. His face turned pale as he read the message in what appeared to be blood. "They'll be back," he said shakily. "This is only the start." The wolves all fell quiet. The victory we had just achieved felt empty with this frightening warning. Looking around at the bruised and bloody faces of our two groups, it was clear the fighting wasn't over. Being the white wolf, I felt the weight of what was to come even more. Some power or darkness was causing trouble in our world, and I knew I'd have to deal with it. But seeing the bravery and determination of my pack and our new friends gave me hope. We had won against all odds today. Whatever was ahead, we'd tackle it together. When dawn's first light began to show, I straightened up. The battle was done, but the war was just getting started. And I would be ready. The journey back to Blackstone's territory was a blend of victory and tiredness. Our win came with a price, and everyone's faces showed the strain. But we had a quiet hope, feeling stronger after facing big challenges. As we moved along, I noticed something odd happening to my body. The injuries from the fight were getting better really fast. Cuts that should take days to heal were starting to scab, and bruises were fading quickly. It was like magic. "Aurora?" Xander's voice pulled me from my thoughts. He fell into step beside me, his eyes filled with a mixture of concern and pride. "How are you holding up?" I looked at my arm and flexed it. A bad cut started to get better right in front of my eyes. "I'm healing," I replied, still somewhat in disbelief. "Faster than I should be." Xander nodded, a small smile playing at the corners of his mouth. "It seems your white wolf powers extend beyond just combat. This could be incredibly useful in the battles to come." As we walked, Xander and I discussed the implications of our recent encounters. The twisted wolves, Lyra's transformation, the increasing rogue attacks, it all pointed to a darkness spreading through the werewolf world, one that we were only just beginning to understand. Suddenly, our conversation stopped because of some noise ahead. As we climbed over a hill, we saw a number of tired and messy werewolves. They were all kinds of people, men, women, and kids. They all looked terrible. A scared-looking man came closer to us. His eyes were full of fear. He said, "We've been walking for days. Our pack was destroyed by rogues. We have no place to live now." These people made me feel sad. I knew what it was like to be scared and have no one, so I went to them without thinking twice. "You're safe now," I said, my voice carrying across the group. "The Blackstone Pack offers you sanctuary. We'll protect you and help you rebuild." Their relief was clear to see, and as we went on, more people joined us. Xander looked at me proudly, and I started to get the idea of how much my new powers meant. As we got closer to Blackstone's land, I felt something weird. I told everyone to stop and whispered to Xander, "I think there's a problem." I whispered to Xander, "I can sense danger. Xander immediately went on alert, signaling to Jackson and Marcus to scout ahead. They returned moments later, their faces grim. "Rogues," Jackson reported. "A small group, just on the outskirts of our territory." It made me furious that they would come so close to our home. "This is our plan," I whispered, my tone serious and focused. I briefly explained how we would use our group's advantages and the element of surprise. As I talked, I noticed everyone nodding in agreement, their eyes showing a blend of respect and resolve. We moved quickly and quietly through the woods, surrounding the rogue scouts before they realized we were there. When I gave the signal, we struck. The fight was brief but intense, and I noticed I was moving faster and stronger than ever before. My claws felt sharper, and my senses were extremely acute. Within minutes, it was all over. The rogues were defeated, and I was breathing heavily, amazed by the energy still flowing through me. But our job wasn't finished yet. I went up to one of the conscious rogues, my eyes shining with an unusual light. "Speak," I demanded. "Why are you here?" The rogue, terrified by my appearance, spilled everything. A massive attack was being planned, targeting multiple packs simultaneously. The goal wasn't just conquest, but complete annihilation of the established pack structure. With this chilling information, we hurried back to Blackstone territory. As we approached, I could hear the cheers and howls of welcome. Our pack had been worried, and the relief at our return was palpable. Xander stepped forward, addressing the gathered crowd. "We return victorious," he announced, his voice carrying across the clearing, "and it is thanks in no small part to Aurora. She has taken on the role of the White Wolf, guiding us to success and providing a safe place for those who need it." I felt a blush rise up my neck when everyone looked at me. Some part of me wanted to hide from the attention, but another part, a stronger, more confident part, stood firm. These people were now my family, and they were counting on me for support and direction. As the crowd dispersed, Celine and Zara approached me, their eyes shining with admiration. "Aurora," Celine began, "what you did out there, it was remarkable. We were wondering if you'd be open to teaching us?" I was surprised for a moment, but then I slowly started to smile. "Definitely," I responded. "In fact, I think it's time we start training everyone who's willing. We need to be prepared for what's coming." In the following hours, I began creating a training plan and collaborated with Xander and the other pack warriors to strengthen our protection. The work was tiring, but also exciting. For the first time, I felt like I was really contributing and living up to the fate that had been placed upon me. As night approached, Xander organized a meeting with the leaders. I addressed them, sharing all the information I had gathered about our adversaries and the dangers we were facing. While I spoke, I noticed their concern, but also an increasing determination. "We cannot handle this threat by ourselves," I finished. "We must contact nearby packs and build alliances. We can only fight this darkness if we work together." Everyone in the room agreed. They looked at me with confidence, trusting in what I had to say. It felt great to be heard and believed in, but it was also a big responsibility. I knew I couldn't disappoint them. To show them why it was important, I chose to use my new powers. I shifted into my white wolf form, letting my power flow freely. The room filled with a soft, silvery light, and I could see the awe on the faces of the pack leaders. As the meeting concluded, Xander pulled me aside. "Come," he whispered, holding my hand gently. "I've got something to show you." My curiosity piqued. I accompanied him out of the group's house and into the woods. We walked lightly. The only sounds were our soft footsteps on the leafy ground. Soon, we arrived at a small, unseen clearing. There was a clean river close by, and the air smelled like flowers growing in the wild. "Wow, this is beautiful," I said, really surprised. Xander smiled, leading me to a fallen log where we could sit. "I found this place shortly after becoming alpha," he explained. "I visit this place when I need to clear my mind or simply exist." I was touched that he was letting me in on this personal retreat. We sat quietly for a while, taking in the soothing sounds of the woods. "Aurora," Xander started, his tone gentle yet earnest. "I really want you to know how much I look up to you. The way you've handled your duties and embraced your position, it's more than I could have imagined." Xander extended his hand and held mine. A gentle touch made me shiver. "From the moment I first saw you," he said, his eyes serious, "I knew you were unique. but seeing you develop, watching you turn into a leader, it's more than I ever expected." I felt my heart fill with feelings. "Xander, I stopped, not knowing how to say how deep my feelings were. He seemed to get it, softly holding my face with his hand. "Aurora," he whispered, "I know we have big challenges ahead. The path will be tough, but regardless of what comes our way, we will handle it together." I moved closer to his touch, feeling calm despite the dangers ahead. "Together," I repeated, the word a promise. Slowly, Xander moved closer and our lips touched in a gentle kiss. It felt gentle and lovely, filled with things we hadn't said out loud yet. After we stopped kissing, I leaned my head against his, feeling happier than I had in a while. We stayed sitting there for a while, talking quietly about various things and also about nothing specific. Xander shared stories about his childhood with the pack, and I told him some happy memories from before I lost my mom and dad. As the stars came out in the sky, I felt perfect about where I was and how I felt. Even if we have tough times ahead or have to deal with arguments, I knew that this feeling and this bond would help us get through anything. As it got late, we slowly walked back to the pack house, holding hands. The future was unclear, full of risks and challenges, but for the first time, I felt really ready to face it. With Xander beside me and the support of our pack, I believed we could handle anything that came our way. I felt a soft kiss on my forehead, which gently stirred me from my sleep. As my eyes opened, Xander's smile greeted me, filled with love. "Happy birthday, sweetheart," he whispered softly, brushing a hair from my face. It took a moment to register his words. Today was my birthday. I was becoming 17. Considering the events of the previous year, it was strange to experience something as ordinary as this. Once I sat up, I noticed my room had transformed overnight. There were vases with wildflowers everywhere, and their nice smell was all around. Over a chair was a beautiful white dress, and it looked soft and shiny in the morning light. "Xander, it's so pretty," I said, touching the smooth fabric with my fingers. He smiled even bigger, happy to see my reaction. "This is just the beginning. The pack has been planning this celebration for weeks." After I dressed, Xander led me to the pack house's dining room where Celine and Zara were waiting. They enveloped me with a big group hug, shouting happily. "Happy birthday, Aurora!" Celine exclaimed, pressing a small wrapped package into my hands. "Open it," Zara urged, practically bouncing with anticipation. Inside, I found a beautiful silver bracelet, which had protective and strong symbols carved into it. "It's stunning," I said, feeling quite emotional. I never thought a year ago that I'd have friends like these or a family that truly cared about me. Our breakfast was spectacular. We had a blast laughing and chatting about what we were going to do today. Afterward, Xander accompanied me to the main clearing. I gasped as we emerged from the trees. The entire area had been transformed into a festival ground. Streamers in white and silver, the colors of my wolf form, fluttered in the breeze. Tables laden with food and drinks circled a large open space cleared for dancing. The pack members who had gathered burst into cheers as they saw me, and I felt a blush creep up my cheeks. Xander gave my hand a comforting squeeze, then moved in front of everyone to speak. "We're not just here for Aurora's birthday. We're also here to celebrate what she means to our pack. Our Luna, protector and friend." He turned back to me, producing a small velvet box from his pocket. It was a beautiful necklace with a silver crescent moon and opals inside. "It's a family tradition," he said, fastening it around my neck. "It shows you're a Luna and part of our pack's future." We had fun playing games that showed how strong and fast we were. Because of my new White Wolf powers, I was really good at them. Later, we had a feast with lots of yummy food like berry tarts and venison stew. The thoughtfulness of including these touches nearly brought me to tears. Throughout the meal, pack members stood to share stories and memories. People shared stories about the help I'd given them during training and acts of kindness or bravery they'd seen from me. Each story made me feel closer to this family I'd discovered, this home I never knew I'd have. When it was my time to speak, I got up on wobbly legs, filled with emotions. A year ago I started, my voice a bit shaky. I was all alone, scared, and had no hope. I never thought I'd be here today with so much love and people backing me up. I stopped for a moment, glancing at all the faces around me. Friends, family, my pack. You've not only given me shelter, but also a purpose to live and the power to keep going. Plus, I now have something to look forward to every day. I swear to use all my power to keep this pack safe and show you the way." As night came, the open area changed. Many lanterns were lit, giving off a soft, magical light all over the place where everyone was having fun. Music started up, a mix of traditional pack melodies and more modern tunes. Xander appeared at my side, holding out his hand with a slight bow. "May I have this dance, Luna?" he asked. I giggled, took his hand, and let him guide me to the middle of the open area. As we started to dance, everything else around us disappeared. It was only us, moving to the rhythm, staring deeply into each other's eyes. Soon, other couples joined in, and I began to switch partners, creating a delightful pattern of twirling and laughing. The simplicity of the dance made it easy to connect with each person I danced with. And the joy was contagious. I danced with Jackson, with Marcus, with some younger pack members who blushed and stammered as they tried to lead. Each dance, each interaction reinforced the bonds I'd formed with this community. As the night wore on, I noticed Xander in deep conversation with some pack elders. He caught my eye and smiled, giving me a small nod that seemed to say, "Just a moment longer." I turned back to my current dance partner, just one of the refugee wolves we'd welcomed into the pack. As I did it, a weird feeling began in my fingertips. It was like my arm or leg had fallen asleep, but it didn't go away. Instead, it grew stronger, moving up my arms and into my whole body. I almost fell over. "Aurora, are you all right?" my mate asked, genuine concern in his voice. I wished to reassure him that I was okay, but my voice failed me. The feeling changed to a buzzing, like a powerful energy was rushing through me. It felt like my skin was too tight and something was trying to get out. The music stopped and people started calling my name. I saw Xander running towards me through the crowd. He looked terrified. Before I knew it, my eyes were burning, and there was a really bright, hot light coming from inside me. Everything started spinning fast, and then everything went dark, just as Xander was trying to grab me. In the dark, I felt weird, like I didn't have any weight. I could hear voices from everywhere. Some were people I knew, but others sounded ancient and very strong. The White Wolf rises, protector of the innocent, destroyer of darkness. Aurora. The last voice cut through the chaos, anchoring me. Xander. I could feel him, even in this strange in-between place. His presence was a lifeline, pulling me back towards reality. I took a sharp breath and my eyes quickly opened. I was on the ground in an open space, with people looking at me with concern. Everything around me started to whirl fast, and then everything went completely dark, right when Xander was trying to reach me. In the dark, I felt a weird feeling of not having any weight, like my body wasn't there. I could hear voices everywhere. Some were people I knew, but others seemed ancient and very strong. Xander was beside me, gently supporting my head in his lap. "Aurora," he whispered, sounding relieved. "You're back. How are you feeling?" I blinked a few times, checking my body. The intense power rush had lessened, but I could feel it lingering, ready to be used if needed. "I'm okay," I replied, a bit shakily. Different, but okay. As Xander helped me to my feet, I noticed the pack members backing away slightly, awe and a touch of fear in their eyes. "What?" I asked, looking down at myself. I gasped. My skin seemed to be glowing faintly, a soft white light emanating from within. "Your eyes," Xander said softly. "They're incredible." He produced a small mirror from somewhere, holding it up for me to see. My reflection shocked me. My eyes, which were once a comforting brown, now had a silver glow that was both mesmerizing and frightening. I quietly asked, "What's going on with me?" with a noticeable tremble in my voice, filled with fear. Xander held me firmly around the waist, offering support. "I'm not certain," he admitted, "but we're a team in this. No matter what this situation is, or if you're changing in some way, we're by your side." Looking at the pack around us, I saw their expressions change from fear to resolve. They were ready to stand by me, regardless of what this new change brought. Then everything started to spin. The voices from the dark places became louder, and the strength within me increased. It felt completely new to me. "Xander," I said quickly, trying to hold on to him as my legs gave way. I can't control it." The final thing I saw was Xander's face, filled with fear as he tried to catch me. Then darkness took over again. This time, It felt like I might not come back. Aurora's body started to glow with a super bright white light. Xander held her tightly and called her name, terrified. But Aurora just lay there, not moving. The power inside her was growing so big, it was scary for everyone watching.